Hello everybody and welcome back to the shop. Today we're going to solve a little problem we're having over on the pool deck. These are or were a series of hooks that hang along the back fence of the pool to hold the pool poles. Now I'm not going to mix any words here. I have no idea why anyone or any company would ever manufacture anything that goes in the sun out of this craptacular plastic. Well, anything in plastic in the sun goes away kind of quick. If you can see, they used to be blue and now they're some shade of olive drab green, and they're just so brittle that when I went to unscrew them to try to take them down, well, they just fell apart. So herein lies the problem. I can buy a really nice set of these made out of brass or stainless if I want to depart with about 150 to 200 US doll hairs. If you don't know who that is, watch AVE on YouTube. I can buy a really nice fancy set of these, or I can manufacture them themselves. And you guys know I make all the stuff myself to try to save money, right? These are a couple of drop pieces of 316 stainless that I had left around from another project. And I've got a full stick of this over there on the ground. It's about 12 feet long. This is like a 1/4 inch stainless round rod. This is 316 as well. And we're gonna make a tool to make this tool for the pool. Haha, see what I did there? We're gonna make a tool to make a tool for the pool. So what we're gonna make is we're gonna make a real simple bending jig that you can put in your vise. And you can use that to bend shapes out of flat bar, round bar, even a small square stock. This is a drop-off piece of rusty, crusty, 1.5 inch square tube. Looks like 3/16 wall, right? It's literally something out of the scrap bin over there. This is a piece of 1 3/8 stainless of some sort, round rod. Anyway, it's free because it's scrap and it's here. If you don't have solid stainless round rods sitting around, you could use a couple old pieces of pipe nipples, right? They'll work too, as long as you don't get too carried away here. And then what I have is a bolt. I'm gonna use the bolt because I got it, and because everybody's got rusty, old, crusty bolts laying around. What we're gonna do is we're gonna weld a bolt next to this round rod. We're gonna jump over, get the welding machine set up. I'm gonna take this square cut piece right here, because it's cut square on the end. I'm gonna take it over the belt grinder. I'm just gonna put a nice little bevel on here. Nothing crazy, this isn't a spec weld, but a couple things I wanna do. I don't want a lot of weld down here at the bottom for two reasons. One, I wanna be able to get the head of the bolt pretty close, right? And two, when I slide this down, I don't want a whole bunch of bunk holding it up off the bottom, a whole bunch of weld reinforcement there, and I don't need a whole lot. We're not using this for its strength, what we're using it for is its shape. We've put a nice bevel and gotten the burr off this side. One of the things, I didn't turn the camera on to do it, but since we're gonna weld on this, I just took it over and basically knocked on the wire wheel all of the finish off it. That finish is no bueno to breathe. There's heavy metals in that when you see that gold finish, so we don't make a vapor, heavy metal vapor, and breathe that. So what we're gonna do now, I've got the part set up here on a little F clamp. This is our round piece. This is our piece of stock. What we're gonna do is put a tack weld on this side and a tack weld on this side. Remember, when you're fixturing up your parts and getting everything ready to weld, always put tack welds as opposite each other as you can get it, because they will pull. It'll always pull against the other weld. So tacking up a part properly will net you a much better weld up later if you can get it all fixtured up correctly to begin with. Because this has got a lot of crusty rustiness on it, I'm gonna ground right to the clamp. One other thing I wanna show you guys, long length rods like this, when you're repairing little parts, there is no reason to be proud and think you're some turbo welder. Cut that thing in half. If you're really worried about wasting that little nub at the end, it's good welding practice. You can weld them back together, but it makes it so much easier especially when you're doing in tight work like this, not to have this long rod out there. There's no pride in this. What we're trying to do is get us a good weld, whatever it takes to get there. I've got the TIG welder set at 180 amps. All right, here we go. And I'll talk you through what I'm doing. We're gonna come in here and we're gonna roll into this. We're just gonna be patient with it a little bit. We're gonna give this thing a little bit of time to build up some heat in this big slug of material. We don't have to go crazy just because we're putting a tack in there. We can put a tack in there and just let it build a little heat. It's the cooling that makes the part move when we do tack welds. The tack weld's already complete, but I'm just letting it stay as a molten puddle. Same thing here on this side. We're just rolling the heat nice and easy. The little tack weld is formed. We'll put a little bit of filler material in it and just let it cool. Now that it's cooled down, I'm going to put an opposing tack on each side. Everything appears nice and true. So I'm going to put a tack here and a tack there, then we'll get on and we'll do a circumferential weld all the way around it. And the next weld's got to go like that, but we need to get a piece of round rod down in between it and give us enough room to be able to move. And that's probably about perfect right there. Simple dimple. And put just a little tack in there and we'll check it, making sure we can still get that piece of round rod in there. Now, second guessing myself here, I was probably a bad choice of places to put a tack weld. Can you guys see what happened? It pulled this away. I probably should have gone left to right. Those tack welds should have gone here. I should have thought about it a little more and put those tack welds here. That way when it contracted and pulled it one way or the other, no biggie, because we'd still stay parallel here. By putting the tack weld here, when the weld cooled, it contracted and it pulled it back. Let's see if we can use the clamp to fix the mistake and not have to break it off and re-weld it. Either way, not the end of the earth, but it's a good lesson. Yeah, almost. You know what they say about almost. I played horseshoes once. I've never thrown a hand grenade. Pretty perfect. And I'll put a little tack back here to hold it and then move around and get the other side. All right, so I cleaned that weld up. What I used here is just stainless steel wire brush. But here's something that's kind of neat. You go back and rewind the video and you can see that earlier this fit right through there, right? Guess where it doesn't fit now? Moves back and forth until we get right here and it tightens up. This is not a critical part and it's going to get the high pressure motivation tool right there. Will give us all we need because it's real close to fitting through there. Matter of fact, you can see that it will. Now, a couple things I did off camera. Obviously, I cut a short piece of this 3/16 round rod here, took it over to the grinder, and I rounded the end off and kind of polished it. How this tool works is we're going to put the tip of the hook, or what we've ground for the hook, in here like this. We're just going to grab a hold of it, and we're going to wrench it around just like that. And we essentially have made a hook. Now, we may look at this hook and say, you know what, it's a little tight, it has a little bit of bend there, so we can use the same tool and the same method to work this metal and get it the way we want it. And that's the whole point of this. Now, we've made a hook that will hold our pole. So what we have here is 4.5 inch angle grinder with a diamond wheel. I'm a fan of these diamond cutoff wheels. The abrasive wheels work great too. The difference is that when you get into difficult things to cut, like cutting sheet material, these diamond wheels tend to last a long time. So essentially what I'm going to do, I'm going to bang out 3 more of these. This is going to be my master template. So each one of these I want to make sure that the curve follows this curve. I don't want to bore you guys with rinse and repeat. It's the same thing. I'm going to smooth the end, bring it in here, bend it around, and then of course cut it off. These are going to be our 2 sets of hooks right here. We need to pop some holes in them for mounting. Now this material here is 1.5 inches wide. So half of that's 3/4 of an inch. Just take the square here. What we do is essentially give ourselves a center line there. This is the tool that I made. This is a center punch. What I did is took an armor piercing round and you cut the armor piercer out of a 50 caliber round. I'll put a link up here in the top. Click that link, you can go see how to make this center punch. And it makes a great, super inexpensive center punch that you can just beat the snot out of, and they take all the abuse you can give them. So we've got this center punched here at our point. We're just gonna go drill a 1/4 inch hole in here. That gives me a little bit of room for whatever size fastener I decide to use. All right, so what we did is we went over there and we cut these to the same length, and then we drilled a couple holes in them. We took a deburring tool and we deburred the holes. One of the things I like to do is always deburr holes. Some guys don't deburr holes because they say there's going to be a screw over it, nobody's ever going to see it. whatever. If you have a customer and a customer's paying you to fabricate something, always keep in mind that extra little bit of work you do is going to make your job look that much better. This stainless looks pretty bad just because it's been sitting in a pile of junk metal in the weather. It has some shmoo on it from the trees, and we're going to put a finish on this. Well, there's a lot of different ways you can put a finish on stainless. I happen to have a wheel on my grinder. It's an Osborne wheel. It's an Osborne product. I really like it, and we're just going to put a granular finish in this, a grain that goes one direction. It's an appearance thing, nothing more than that. All right, so we'll back the machine down. Let's call it 110. That means that at full pedal, the machine's going to give me 110 amps of output. I don't think I'm going to need that much. We're probably going to be somewhere about 60 to 80 amps is what we're actually going to wind up using. All right, I like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in here and just put a little tiny bit of weld on each side. We're not hanging human bodies or sides of beef from this. We're just hanging a pool pole, so it's not going to take a lot of weld reinforcement to get us where we want to be, and it's way more weld than we'll ever need. So one of the things we're doing here is we're holding the torch on there, and we're just letting that argon post-flow protect all of that stainless from the atmosphere as long as we possibly can. The more we do that, the less we have to clean up these dark colors around the material, and all that is from oxidation. I'm trying to get on here, get the heat right, and just be done with it real fast. The less heat I put into this, the better. There is nothing more refreshing than ice cold water from the Do Right Fabrication cup. You do realize that that water tastes like it came from the center of the earth, which if it had, it would be like 1,000,000 degrees and steam. Well, everybody, here's a set of the hooks we made for the swimming pool. These are going to hold the different pool poles, you know, with the net and the brush and all that stuff at the back of the pool there. I'm pretty happy with the way they came out, especially since we basically made these with essentially just leftover stuff we had laying around the shop. Be sure to follow me on Facebook under the Do Right Fabrication Facebook page, or on Instagram under Do Right Builder. Thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you again real soon.